Hey guys, today we're talking Power Rangers and I'm really excited because this project is finally coming to a close. So I've been making these Let's Build videos where I make each of the issues and I'm putting them together, and I've got a whole intro video where it explains in detail what that's all about. I'll link that right here. So the basics of it is that there's 120 issues and you build your kits and this is what you get. So we're going to take a look at the figure itself. We're going to be taking a look at the articulation, the design. We'll be comparing it against the other robots that you might be interested in getting. And we're going to do all this in roll call order for the Power Rangers themselves because I'm a little bit OCD. So we're going to be taking a look at the Mastodon first. So stick around and we're going to get right into it. And so here is the Mastodon and it is just hefty. So just for another comparison, here's the Lightning Collection Black Ranger right next to it again. And you can see it's huge. And then also just for reference, and we'll look more at this in a second, here is the original Dino Megazord Mastadon from the 90s. So yeah, a huge difference. And otherwise, what I want to do is I want to show a comparison of what this looks like against like official shots from the show, just because I think that's always useful to see. So I think kind of having it at this angle is going to be the most accurate way to compare against what I'm showing on screen. And as you can see, it's pretty close, but still actually pretty different from what the show looks like. You can see here that the details are pretty different than what you're seeing in the picture. Even the toes are pretty different. And if we look at a literal side-by-side comparison, so this one actually also looks pretty different. Our circular part here and these things here are different from what we're seeing. We're not getting the paint apps here that we see in the picture that I should have on screen right now. And obviously, you know, you're seeing this stuff, but that's something that you can't help but see, as opposed to what you're seeing in the picture that I have up, since that is probably not an actually transforming prop. Otherwise, a lot of the detail is very similar, so I'm still pretty happy about that. Here is the back side. And this side actually looks pretty close, but as you can see, this doesn't like have just like a straight curve the way that the image shows. And then finally, the top view. Again, same thing. It looks pretty close. It's not going to be 100%, but you know, that's just how it goes. Now, one of the really big deals about this is that not only is it big, but a lot of it is die cast. So what I want to do is weigh it. And for the sake of comparison, here is our original Dino Mastodon, and this shows at 6.9 ounces. I know you can't necessarily see that on screen, but I can see it from here. And our Solo Chogokin is 9.9 ounces. Our Altaya comes up at a hefty 4 pounds, 5.2 ounces, which is, I mean, obviously, yeah, it's pretty big, so it's gonna be pretty heavy, but even still, that's kind of huge, right? I mean, especially if you think about how heavy all the other ones are going to be, especially when you think about it all combined. Now, as far as what parts are actually die cast, there's no die cast parts in the head. The legs are not die cast, but the black parts here and here are definitely die cast. These plastic parts, these base parts are all plastic, and then obviously all the gray parts are plastic as well. You can see our hand is in there, and that's also plastic. But yeah, so the top black pieces are all cold and definitely metal parts. The yellow part, this is definitely a plastic piece, and there's one on each side, which you'll see in the later review when I do the full Megazord. But yeah, so tons of die-cast parts, and that's obviously what makes this thing just so heavy. It's really fun. Now, as far as actual articulation on this thing, there's not a lot. So, you know, on the show, we definitely see that the legs move a bit, but on here they don't. So like, obviously you can see that this is moving, but it's only moving because it's intended to move to transform, not move for like leg movement. But I guess if you really wanted to think of it as leg movement, you could. And then the nice thing is that we do have articulation in the trunk. So each of these pieces is its own point. So you can kind of go like that, you can go straight like that. That's how far up you can curl up, and you can otherwise have it touch the ground. The head itself does have some level of articulation, so you can kind of see that I'm able to move it like that. But the problem is that it doesn't really like hold the articulation very well. And I don't know if that's because I didn't do a good enough job screwing those pieces into place, which is certainly possible, or if that's just kind of the limitation to this articulation. And the reason why I think that is because of actually how similar it is to the Soul of Chogokin Megazord. So this is the Soul of Chogokin, and as you can see, they look almost exactly the same, even down to some really small detail. Like on this trunk, you can see this little square that matches the square over here, and that's the same with all the rest of that detail. Even the bottom part where you have these very specific attachment points are the same on the Altaya. So you can see up there that this looks pretty much exactly the same. A lot of the detail, even inside here is very similar. So I very strongly suspect that the Altaya Megazord is actually just kind of a blown up version of the Soul of Chogokin. And to me, that's not necessarily a bad thing at all, but interesting to note. Now, going back to the head articulation, you can see that the Soul of Chogokin can actually move up like that and stay. And when I tried that with the Altaya, like it can go up like that, but then it just drops back down. So I might try to open that up and see if there's a point that I can screw a little bit tighter to see if that holds, but we'll see about that. And otherwise, the Soul of Chogokin, it only goes up and down like that. But even the trunk has the same level of articulation that Altaya does. So really interesting notes there. And then this back part is also, I think, way too unique for it to be a coincidence that the Altaya does the same exact thing. Now, these are the Mastodons in, I believe, what is release order. So this is our original. This is the Legacy from Bandai. However, I don't have the regular one. I only have the black and gold one, which, just so you know, most of these were on loan to me from a very good friend of mine. After that, we have the Soul of Chogokin one. We have the first Hasbro one, that like super cheap one that's like 60 bucks. This is our mini Plow one right here. Obviously very mini indeed. And then we have our Zap Megazord from Hasbro as well. Really, it's the Soul of Chogokin that looks one for one exactly the same as our Altaya one. And then the other ones are just kind of close, but still quite a few differences with each of them. Here's a side shot of all of them, minus the Soul of Chogokin, since I already showed you that one. But that's how all of those look. And as you can see, if we bring the Soul of Chogokin back in, that the original one, the M, is definitely an M, unlike what it's supposed to look like, which is this. And I don't think in the original that was intended to be an M as much as it's just a design. Maybe it is M for Mastadon. I'm not really sure. So if you know, let me know that in the comments down below. Otherwise, this looks accurate, that looks accurate. These two actually look pretty accurate, and even the Legacy Bandai one looks pretty accurate had it been in the correct colors. And then looking at our back sides, as you can see, all of them with the exception of the Soul of Chogokin all have open backs where you can see the fist that become the fist for the Megazord once it's transformed. The one neat feature that this has that the Soul of Chogokin does not is actually that the head lights up, or specifically the eyes light up. So it's got a micro USB plug, and then it's got a button on there. So it's a little hard to see with all of my lights, so I've turned off 2 out of my 3 so you can see this. So I'm gonna just press and hold, and you can see it lit up. So now the light is definitely on, and there you have it. You have a lit up Mastodon head, which is super neat. So this actually comes with a remote that controls all of the different lights for all of the different Zords. And it's pretty straightforward because you get 3 buttons assigned for each of the different heads. And so 13 is to turn it on, 15 is to turn it off. I'll turn it off now. And then 14 is to make it blink rapidly. As you can see, it's blinking rapidly right there. And then I'll do 13 again to make it solid, and 15 again to turn it off. And I know all of that because of the issue that it comes with. It gives you specifics of which numbers do which one for which Zord. You can see that's our micro USB plug, and then you see our power button right there. This is like the Soul of Chogokin head, where you flip that up when you're not actually having it in Mastodon mode. And then if you're holding it as the shield, then there's your handle. And you can even see the electronics inside there. That's the Altaya Mastodon Zord, and depending on when you watch this, then I am going to link either the next video in this sequence, or otherwise you'll see something else also Power Rangers related. So see you there.